Okay, we're live. Going through the European soccer leagues as quickly as possible today. I am the real underscore G Warner on Twitter. Please hit that follow button. I've enjoyed interacting with a bunch of you when I've had the opportunity. Feel free to throw anything you want in the comments or questions on Twitter. Again, the real underscore G Warner. Going to start off with England. Try to go through things as quickly as possible. Started screens on the other side. Just got off a flight. First one Saturday morning is Newcastle hosting West Ham. Newcastle currently getting a quarter off a really big win in their relegation battle last week. Though Fulham looks like they're incapable of scoring, and that might put Newcastle safe anyway. Still a very big match for them, and still one that they have to put a lot behind. West Ham currently giving a quarter of a goal on the road. I think kind of explains a lot considering where they've been in this season. I think pretty undervalued despite fighting for Champions League. Some people believe that I've heard, it's probably reasonable to think that they've way overplayed their expected goals and things like that. But at the same time, I think they're a solid defense that now has a special, spectacular player in Jesse Lingard that they didn't have before his transfer loan, whatever it's called, or whatever it ends up becoming. Not really interested in Newcastle, as I still think they're really flawed, and seeing them catch a draw would be really nice, but you're only winning half a unit at that point. Next are Wolves hosting Sheffield United, currently giving 3/4 of a goal at home. Surprised. I figured this might be bigger, as Sheffield looks like they're pretty much dead, going down, and I think don't have a lot really to play for other than try to score some goals and get in some highlight tapes, or maybe even to try to look good and score some goals so you can get on your next club for next season, as you will not be in the Premier League anymore. Wolves defense has been great. Definitely lost a big injury to Neto, I think it was. Anyway, so they're a little bit injured, but they have been all season. And offense certainly hasn't been the strength of Wolves, but their defense is likely to shut Sheffield out, keep a clean sheet, or at least hold them to one goal. So then Sheffield, with questionable reasons to even sit back and play defense, as they have a new manager who hasn't really shown like he's done anything for them so far. I have a question about what they're going to do really the rest of the season and look like one of those on the beach teams, except they're pretty much relegated and very different than on the beach waiting for next season. Moving to Sunday, Arsenal host Fulham. Currently, Arsenal giving 3/4 of a goal. Fulham has no offense to speak of at this point. I think most of the time I'd really love to fade Arsenal, even though they clearly took the racism thing to heart and murdered Slavia Prague to advance in Europa League in midweek. So some questions about their legs and their energy levels, but they have been scoring a lot of goals lately. It seems like their team has gotten a lot better now that Aubameyang's not around, even though he's dealing with malaria, apparently. Fulham have had some good opportunities, have played really good defense after not playing any defense at the beginning of the season, and now they just can't score goals when they need to. Mitrovic had a really good showing for Serbia, but doesn't seem to fit in the way they want to play, or they don't have any creators, and that's a big problem as well. So can't score, can't win games, can't really stay up in this league. And I don't really want to bet you, because Arsenal is likely to get on the board at least once. So then moving to later game on Sunday, Manchester United currently giving a goal and a quarter to Burnley. Burnley's defense looks like it's on the beach. They've been trying to score some goals, maybe to try to show something for next season or with the new owners. Taking leads and conceding them in back-to-back games is not the Burnley that we know and not what's kept them in the league. They're still relatively worried, I think, potentially about a relegation battle or falling into that, but Fulham doesn't look like they're winning to add 3 points at a time, so I'm not sure that's even realistic. So you look like one of those teams that might just be dead, and there's not much to do with them except go against them, and I'm not a favorites better, so that's not really interesting to me. But Manchester United played pretty well in the Europa League. Granada's not great, but also not a bad side whatsoever. Got through, had to play midweek, so there's some questions about how much they want this. All the juices on their sides look like this one's going to climb to 1.5, but by the time game kicks off, not sure I want anything to do with this one. Monday, Leeds host Liverpool, getting 3/4 of a goal right now. All the juice on the Liverpool side. Was hoping Liverpool would be overvalued here, as they have been pretty much all season, I think, based on last year's great performance, winning the league, dominating everything. But this year has not been that case at all, due to injuries, due to a lot of things. I think Klopp being stubborn with his starting lineup, rewarding players for last season that haven't been able to do anything. Wonder if Jota starts. He should, as he's There's no reason to hold them back for Champions League anymore, as that dream has died as well. Leeds have been playing differently. They had to play, I think, rather pragmatically last weekend when they lost a player, center back, to a red card in the first half, late in the first half, and then subbed off Bamford to replace to put another center back on. I'm not sure that they're going to play that way forever, though, and that's the problem, is that they're going to leave themselves wide open, and that's what Liverpool need to score. They've really struggled to break down shells, but Leeds do not play that shell at all. They're going to try to score and basically pretend that they're better than Liverpool. They might be playing better than them right now, though Liverpool has done fairly well in the league and are fighting for Champions League. I just don't know that even if I catch a full goal, if that's enough for me to back Leeds, because I'm just worried that they're going to leave themselves too open and concede too many goals, and they just don't generally finish well enough to cover for that. I guess go through most of the English Premier League stuff. On Tuesday, Chelsea host Brighton, giving a full goal. Brighton, all the juice on their side. Chelsea have the cup match against Manchester City this weekend, so certainly some questions about their legs and availability for that one as well. Brighton, same sort of story, great with possession, can't really score, and that's a big problem, especially when Chelsea are probably going to shut them out, clean sheet, or at the very least, very worst, give up one goal. It's hard to cover with that type of number, because Chelsea are likely to be able to pierce Brighton's defense. But some tired legs might be a factor there, and certainly taking a goal of insurance is never a bad thing. So that's England, I think, rather than going all the way through the whole week. That's through Tuesday. Moving on to Spain, which has nothing, I think, until Sunday. Copa del Rey final for this year's tournament is tomorrow as well. But I'll do that after I go through the La Liga play. So Sociedad hosting Sevilla, currently pick'em Sevilla, all the juice on their side. Looks like it might climb to a quarter. I think that makes sense. Sevilla's been better. While Sociedad started the year really well, but have kind of fallen off the pace, to say the least, and are now fighting for Europa League, or I think Europa League places right now. Sevilla's looked pretty comfortable at one point, but are still fighting to secure Champions League as well. Not much for me to do here, as I'm not even sure I want to back Sociedad as they're catching a quarter, as they've just been so bad considering where they were previously. Osasuna giving half of a goal to Elche. Osasuna's offense has been non-existent, hadn't scored in like 7 hours or something ridiculous. That might be an over exaggeration, but they hadn't scored in 4 matches, something like that. Finally did off an own goal, I believe, against Villarreal. We're pretty lucky, fortunate. Villarreal didn't take a bunch of chances. Osasuna is pretty decent at creating chances. They just can't finish them. Elche on the other side don't create many chances. Their offense is basically grinded ground to a halt. But catching a half of a goal from a team that can't score is always interesting to me. Most of the juice on the Elche side, if that falls to a quarter, I think I'll be much less interested. But currently getting half, that'd be where my money would go right now if I had the option. Alaves then host Huesca. Huesca getting a quarter. All the juice on their side look like it might fall to pick'em. Huesca has been playing way better. Alaves now is on a third manager after the second manager that came in just really completely ruined their team. They were playing pretty well. I think there was a race to get this guy in because they wanted to play more offensively, even though I think they were still hanging around pretty well with the first manager. Has a major, major problem. And now I think Alaves is either league bottom or second from bottom and are right in the middle of relegation spat with Huesca, who are now ahead of them. And I think a draw on the road is what they'd go for anyway. Now that benefits them because Alaves isn't passing them if they both get a point. Very interested in Huesca catching a quarter. I'm not really sure that Huesca has anybody on their roster that would be that big of a miss that would swing the line or something like that. So I might even want to play Huesca tonight just because I think they're going to put forth the best lineup they can. They've shown they can score lately. Rafa Mir has been great up front. And Alaves is also great at getting red cards, and it's really hard to win from that position with one fewer man on the pitch. Atleti then give a full goal to Eibar. Now, all the juice on their side looks like it might climb to 1.25. Eibar has been a disaster. Brian Heel with an injury, but also maybe a suspension that was talked about last week, and he was really their offensive creator. Eibar is looking really bad. I think they're bottom of the league and are in real big trouble. Atleti has not been playing great, surrendered after taking a very early lead against Betis, ended up drawing, and I think their title chances are diminishing, falling by the second. Eibar, I'm not sure, is a team that's going to really test them. But as this keeps climbing, I'm certainly going to be more interested in going against Atleti. Betis then give half of a goal to Valencia. And all the juice, most of the juice on the Betis side, and then probably should climb a little bit more. Betis is playing a lot better. Their manager has fixed the defense, and I think they're starting to grow every day, it seems. Valencia's defense has been a big problem. They're always in the most dramatic matches with red cards or huge comebacks or whatever, but I'm not sure that I like their defense enough, considering their offense hasn't done enough to cover for it all season. So why would I want to get involved now, especially against a Betis side that I kind of like this year? Cadiz then are getting a quarter from Celta de Vigo, all the juice on the Celta side, and looks like it's going to climb to a half. Celta Vigo's offense has been great. Iago Aspas's return has been huge. Their offense has been playing a lot better. They still struggle with the big clubs, but at the way top of the league, like the Real Madrids, but ultimately Cadiz is going to give them a ton of possession and try to sit back. The problem is Celta Vigo can turn any sort of possession into a counterattack type format where anytime Cadiz tries to push forward, they're going to be in big trouble to concede a goal, as that's what Celta Vigo is made to do. I do think Celta's defense has some issues, but Cadiz is going to give the ball 75% to Celta, maybe even more than that, and try to defend. Now, the problem is once you come out of that shell, if you try to push anything forward, that's when Celta Vigo is really at its best to try to score really quickly, and they have tons of players to do that. There are some injury concerns. Santi Mina leaving early last match, so we'll see what happens with that one. But currently, I'm interested in the dog, especially as it climbs to a half where a draw would be a push, but I'm just not sure, or excuse me, a draw would be a win if you're taking half of a goal. Well, but I'm just not sure I want that just yet. Next is Getafe hosting Real Madrid, getting 3/4 of a goal. Getafe can't score, so I just have no interest in backing them, even against Real Madrid, who had to play midweek. I think Real's defense has proven that it's great now, even without Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane. Getafe can't score. Even if they catch a full goal, I'm not sure I want it. But currently, it's pick 'em based, or juice is even on each side, so I'm not sure it's going to the +1, which is surprising because I think Real Madrid deserves more respect. Levante then hosting the last one, host Villarreal, getting half of a goal. Villarreal had to play midweek. Europa League, advanced to the semis, good for them. But Levante is a good side, and I think that they're rated a lot worse than they really have played all season. This is no surprise. So I'm interested in that side, as I think they can score. Their defense is sometimes a question for sure, but Villarreal with some sort of tired legs, I'm not sure if they're going to play their best players, as they tended to rotate. They did last week on the weekend against Osasuna and lost. They're in a fight for Champions League and Europa League places, but ultimately showing what they did with Osasuna before leg 2 of Europa League makes me think that even if they do run those guys out there, they might be lacking some gas, to say the least. And that's a problem because Levante can score. They have a bunch of bodies that can get up front, can create, and that's generally not something you say about the lower tier teams in this league. Just going to go through the cup. So Copa del Rey, we have Barcelona giving a full goal right now on a neutral site, I'm pretty sure. All the juice in the Barcelona side moving up to 1.25. Athletic Club is going to play a lot of good defense. That's what they're known for. They do have some good talent. Iker Muniain is a great creator, and I really like them. Iñaki Williams can put anyone in whatever the word is. He's super fast and can score and is a threat to anybody. So the Barca defense is going to have to watch him. So I'm interested in Athletic Club. Cup ties are meant to be really tight. Problem is late. They're definitely going to push forward and go for a goal if they're trailing by 1. So that would not be as safe, unfortunately, but still like it and might add it depending. Barcelona is going to catch more money, so it probably climbs to 1.25 before closing or kickoff. Serie A, Crotone getting half of a goal from Udinese. Not sure I want to do too much of that one. Udinese is not likely to score much, but Crotone's defense has been horrible. Sampdoria pick 'em with Verona makes sense, though Sampdoria can't really score, but that makes sense why they're pick 'em right now, pretty much down the middle with juice as well. Would be interested in Verona if they're catching a quarter, but that's not going to happen. I don't think, I'm barring a huge move. Sassuolo, a slight favorite at home to Fiorentina. All lines courtesy of Bet Online. And of course, they don't have one here, but I'm going to guess that Sassuolo is a decent size, or the juice is on their side at Pick'em. I have some interest in Fiorentina, though they're dealing with a ton of issues at the club. Manager resigned. Looks like they're fighting a battle that they weren't expecting towards the bottom. Sassuolo hasn't really been able to do too much offense, basically due to missing personnel. So I'm interested in Fiorentina as they still have a lot of talent. They just haven't played well all season, and maybe bringing in that new manager helped, even with a single goal loss to Atalanta last week that I think pushed for most people who bet that. Cagliari then hosts Parma, giving a quarter of a goal. Haven't been scoring much and were in the bottom fighting relegation. Parma is definitely in that fight. Had been playing better under a new manager, or maybe finally got their act together. Looking at them currently getting a quarter. Moving to Sunday, AC Milan giving a full goal to Genoa. Looks like it's going to climb to 1.25. Not sure how much I want to do that one. Genoa, I think, has been playing well, though. They just struggled to score. Can AC Milan get 2? Probably. Can they keep a clean sheet? That's a big question. I don't think the AC Milan defense is very good, but they ultimately don't have that European distraction anymore, and that's a big help. And we'll see what happens with this line, but it looks like it's going to climb. And Genoa, with an early goal last weekend, wasn't great against Juve, or early concession. Atalanta pick 'em to Juve with all the juice on the Atalanta side. Looks like it might climb to a quarter. If that doesn't say something to you, Atalanta's strength has been pretty notable, I think, in the lines this season, but seeing them likely moving to a quarter goal favorite to Juve at home is saying something. That's not exactly Inter level, as I think that would probably be a lot of juice on the Inter side. And it looks like Atalanta will probably be surrendering a ton of juice to Juve if this does move to a quarter, and probably closes there. But that's still saying something, as I don't think anyone really expected Juve to be getting any sort of fraction from this club. But good for Atalanta and getting through the Papu Gomez drama, whatever that was. Bologna then giving half to Spezia. Spezia is not playing great. Bologna really struggles to score, though. Most of the juice in the Spezia side, so might fall to a quarter. I guess at a half, I have some interest in Spezia, but every time I've tried to back them, they've really disappointed. Lazio giving 1.25 to Benevento. Benevento's stingy. They're one of the teams that were supposed to be relegated. I don't know that they're safe yet, but they've been fighting and are certainly moving up in that direction. Lazio's defense is always a question. They play better against the inferior sides, but Benevento does have a bit of a punch to them. Torino then getting a quarter from Roma, all the juice on the Roma side, so it likely climbs to a half. Expected this number to be small, but it's even smaller than I made it. Roma with advancing midweek, kind of got outplayed by Ajax, but somehow made it through. Good for them, I guess, on that one. But Torino's been fighting, and I've been playing a lot better since their fight at the bottom. So I like them quite a bit, and have backed them a little bit as I've watched. Not sure I want them at a quarter, but at a half, I'd be a lot more interested. And then lastly, Napoli hosts Inter Milan. Currently, Napoli getting a quarter, all the juice on their side. Looks like Inter giving a quarter on the road is a lot, but I thought it even might be higher than that. Inter's been so good, so strong, so talented, with no distractions of European football, and look like they're kind of running away with the Scudetto. But Napoli's decent and certainly can mess with Inter and make it difficult on them. And I guess I'm interested in dogs always, so why not getting a quarter at home? Though I expect it to be bigger, so I'm not sure I want to get too involved at what I see as a discount. Moving to Germany, Augsburg giving a quarter to Arminia Bielefeld. Augsburg, I've been backing them for months now, it feels like, and it hasn't felt great, but it's actually made a decent amount of money, I think. Pretty bad loss to Schalke last weekend. Very bad loss, embarrassing, but a lot because of a goalkeeping mistake, who's like highest save percentage in the league or something. I'm not sure what I take from those stats, but he made a big mistake, Yikovitz, and that's a big problem, and they end up losing, but they look safe. Not fully safe, but look like they're pretty close to being safe. Arminia Bielefeld's in a fight at the bottom. They're going to be doing anything they can to get a point here and probably to win. Currently getting a quarter is interesting, as Augsburg's offense, like even behind 1-0 to Schalke, had like 85, 90 minutes with stoppage time to try to tie that up and couldn't get enough on target. Augsburg's been taking advantage of big mistakes for goals. Definitely have some decent wins that were unexpected. But ultimately, I think seeing them as a favorite interests me to be back on the other side, as I really didn't want to back them for the last month or two. Gladbach pick them to Frankfurt. Was hoping to get Frankfurt dogged. Wasn't expecting it, though. Gladbach's been playing terribly. Got pretty fortunate to beat Freiburg. but not much for me to do there. Freiburg now giving 3/4 to Schalke. Schalke is a disaster. Had a big win off of a joke concession in the last match, as I've already discussed. Freiburg has kind of fallen into mid-table. I think their European aims are gone, but they're still there fighting to try to play for Christian Streich, and they've been playing pretty well. Giving 3/4 of a goal is a weird position for them to be in, though, as it's a big number, and I'm not sure that their offense really is that good, but they should have plenty of possession to score on Schalke, who knows what their motivation is at this point, as they're not mathematically eliminated, but basically are or relegated. Union then giving 1/4 to Stuttgart is saying a lot. Was hoping to get Union dogged. German lines are good this week, apparently. Rare that happens, but Union, they're not really a scoring side. They have lost basically all of their attackers to injury. Maybe they have some coming back based on this line. Stuttgart dealing with a ton of injuries right now, and I wonder if this means Kalajic up front is out or something like that. But they're down Wamanga Tuka, which is basically zapped their speed in the right wing. They still have Borna Sosa, who's been great with centering balls to from the left side, and that's still a big threat. And I'm interested in them as getting 1/4 because Union, they're permanently in a we want to be safe mindset, even though they've been fighting for Europe, and they're way safe at this point. But giving 1/4 is not really a position that they should be in, or a team that wants to escape with draws, because that would pay you on the Stuttgart side. So I like that. Want to see what the lineups look like, as I'm worried about maybe some other injuries from Stuttgart. Wolfsburg getting 1/2 from Bayern is not a lot, to say the least, considering where Bayern has been. Bayern with the midweek with PSG put all the stops, but then also took Choupo-Moting off kind of early, in my opinion. Been playing guys through injuries. As I know, Kingsley Coman came off in the weekend with an injury and then played, I think, the full 90 minutes against PSG. So that's an issue. Wolfsburg's defense has been great, though it was really, really wide open and leaky last weekend against Frankfurt. I'm interested in Wolfsburg. That was on my list, but not sure that only 1/2 a goal is enough for me, to say the least. Bayern Leverkusen giving our favorites at home to Köln. Looks like about 3/4, maybe closer to a full goal. Köln, I mean, sacked Marcus Gisdol this week. Pretty tough situation. They fought really hard. They finally got some attackers on the pitch. Anderson, I think, was pretty good and shown what they were missing, as they had nobody up front, and allowed Duda to play the 10. That was really helpful to them. But then a late goal in the 92nd minute, and after like a 22-9 shot advantage, and from down 1-0 to winning to head 2-1 and then losing 3-2, brutal. Really hard to take, I'm sure, for a lot of their players. So there's some sort of issue with that. But Köln did have a good showing in the last time they played Leverkusen. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been Gladbach. So scratch that. You didn't hear that. But Köln is fighting for their life. Leverkusen is fighting to try to get into Champions League, or now Europa League, I think, is more realistic. But Leverkusen's new manager has come in and really put their defensive players in, and they've done nothing offensively, even against a bad defense like Hoffenheim. So I'm interested if they're laying a full goal here to Köln. So I'm going to wait to see if it gets there. Moving to Sunday, Dortmund giving 1.25 to Werder Bremen. Werder's got no offense to speak of, and their defense isn't great either. So Dortmund had to play midweek, and that's going to certainly zap some legs from them. But I'm not interested in Werder at all anymore. I'd like to never bet them again, as I really dislike them at this point. Mainz giving 1/4 to Hertha, who's got a lot of COVID issues, supposedly. I think I'd be interested in the Hertha side, as Mainz has been pulling these like really late goals to get, I think, almost to safety at this point. They're still in the relegation battle, but have made an incredible turnaround from where they were. The depths, 7 points halfway through the year, incredible. But they've been winning matches with late goals that aren't really sustainable or likely to repeat themselves. But Hertha, you got to see what that lineup looks like on Sunday. And last but not least, moving to France, we have Angers and Rennes. Looks like Rennes are road favorite, about 1/4, maybe. Again, no line here. Thanks, Dave Mason. Anyway, Rennes, I think, have been playing way better than Angers, who looks old. Their manager's retiring end of year, or at least stepping down, and had a pretty tough performance against Lyon on Sunday. So a little bit of rest advantage potentially as well for Rennes. Marseille giving a quarter, all the juice on their side to Lorient. I'm interested if that climbs to a half, as I'm still not a huge believer in what Marseille is trying to be at this point in the new manager's reign. Lorient is fighting relegation, but I think I've been playing better and have some incredible talents in Loriente, who plays for Lorient. Like, really hard to follow that, but great free kick taker. And as this keeps climbing, my interest in Lorient also climbs. Moving to Sunday, PSG giving a goal and a half to Saint Etienne. Big number, PSG coming off the Bayern victory, but they're so deep. Saint Etienne, a defensive side that are fighting relegation. I'm not even sure how defensive they are. I'm just not sure I want to be against PSG unless I believe the team that they're playing is decent and can challenge them, because 1.5 gets a lot bigger on the counterattack when you're pushing forward. Brest pick them to Lens. I think it was expected. Lens, I believe, is better, and Brest has really trouble they've had trouble as a big favorite or a favorite at home of any type of number, but it looked to be safe, and I think was their main priority entering the season. Juice is about even, so I'm not expecting it to move off of Pick'em. Dijon getting half from Nice, all the juice to the Nice side, but that's still surprising. It's still a pretty low number considering how bad Dijon is. They're going down, or basically relegated potentially after this weekend. Nîmes getting a half at home from Strasbourg, all the juice on the Nîmes side, but Strasbourg, it's a pretty big number for them to give away, I think. Nîmes been playing a lot better under a new manager, fighting relegation, sure, but Strasbourg has some difficulty scoring. I think they've played pretty well against some of the bigger side, which is impressive, but ultimately, I'm not sure that's enough for them to be this big of a favorite on the road, as I think the juice tells you a little bit about that. Reims giving a quarter to Metz, all the juice on the Metz side, but Metz really getting no respect. Have had a little bit of a lull lately, but I think did a lot. I guess pushing Lille to extra time in the cup, not allowing a goal. And I think playing them pretty tight before a late concession really hurt against Lille when they played, or Monaco, whoever they were playing. They're playing one of the league title contenders. Defense has been an issue for Metz, but they've been scoring a lot, and I don't know that Reims can score, so I'm interested in Metz as a dog here, getting a quarter. Bordeaux, 3/4 goal underdog right now to Monaco. Looks like it's climbing to 1. Bordeaux's been playing terribly and took a 1-0 lead off an early penalty and then got blasted last weekend. Unfortunately for my bank account, not sure I want to play with them, even though if they catch 1, that's a little bit more interesting. Nantes then get 1 from Lyon, and Lyon's got all the juice on their side. Looks like it's climbing to 1.25. Not sure what to say about Nantes, but but Lyon, I think, has some troubles. They played pretty well last weekend, but that was like the first lopsided victory they've had in a while. So anytime this number climbs above 1, I think there's some interest in going the other way. And last but not least, forgot to do the FA Cup. Bear with me 1 second as I load Bet Online. And okay, so it looks like as I get through League 2, FA Cup. So Chelsea currently getting 3/4 of a goal from Man City. Man City had to play midweek, so did Chelsea, though. So not too much of a rest advantage there, I don't think. Though I guess Chelsea did play the day before. That's helpful. All the juice on the Chelsea side looks like it's going to fall to a half. And it's really the big difference there is do you want to push on losing by a full goal because a draw wins you both of them? And that's going to be, I think, the big question. I think Chelsea's shown their defense can be competitive enough to hang with Man City, who has, I think, had some trouble with Dortmund and maybe without that questionable Chan penalty. If that really, Dortmund might have been in position to use their road goal in advance. So not sure what to say about that, if I really believe that, but that's certainly an argument that could be made. I'm interested in the Chelsea side, especially in a cup tie. We'll see what happens with this number, but it has been gaining. Chelsea's been getting some money, and that might fall to a half. Then on Sunday, it looks like Leicester and Southampton. Leicester currently giving a half of a goal, though they're playing terribly, have had a big COVID issue with their players breaking protocols. And showing not sure how much they care, considering they're still fighting to remain in Champions League. Third place is starting to feel like fourth place and fifth place, and they did crash out and finish in Europa League spot last season. Southampton has been such a disaster, though I don't think I could back them against really anybody. Their defense has been a joke, and getting blasted by West Brom is pretty embarrassing. So that's it. Thanks for joining Friday night. Hope you guys have a great time. Any questions, feel free to go through in the comments. I'll try to check those, or at @thereal_G Warner on Twitter, and I'll get to as many as I can. Thanks for watching. See you soon.